We're in trouble, Gary. This is highly illegal.
We need more input. We gotta fill this thing up with data. We gotta make her as real as possible, Wyatt. I want her to live. I want her to breathe. I want her to aerobecise.
AI in 80s films was often scary. WOPR in WarGames, Skynet in the Terminator, Master Control Program in Tron. But 1985's weird science made AI sexy. That is, if you can call Kelly LeBrock's Lisa character AI. But she was created on a computer and trained on all the data Gary and Wyatt could feed it. How human she was exceeded all their expectations. But when Lisa became part of their reality, Gary and Wyatt found themselves in new and challenging situations. Those experiences helped them gain confidence and grow up. Today's AI can solve complex problems, just like Lisa. Corinne Flanagan should know she's deployed a virtual agent named Kate to help Smartsheet users through all kinds of technical questions. That has reserved the new and challenging situations for her team of human support agents. They're gaining confidence and evolving to Smartsheet's Support Agent 3.0, human concierge agents that provide incredible customer experiences. This week on Next in Queue, Corinne and I discuss support evolution at Smartsheet, the team's response to AI, how training and hiring have changed, lessons learned from AI deployment, AI's impact on agent burnout and job satisfaction, and building community and recognition among support teams. Let's get to it. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. This time I have Corinne Flanagan, who is next in queue. Welcome to the show, Corinne. How are you?
Hey, Rob. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Doing great.
It's been a long time coming. We've been trying to get this together for some time, and I wouldn't say that you were blowing me off because that's not true. We're just both very busy, and we finally found the time, and so I'm excited about it. Before we get started and talk about you, I want to ask you about the Constitution. What can you tell me about the Constitution?
Well, as you know, I am a fan of the Constitution and actually carry around a pocket Constitution, which I did gift you when I saw you recently.
You did.
I think very important to always have reading material. And what's better than to have the actual Constitution when you have a free moment or you're sitting in your car?
I think it's amazing, and Americans don't know enough about their own Constitution, and so having a pocket version of the Constitution is really handy. And I just have to thank you for that gift, even though somehow I did not come home with it because I'm pretty sure that I re-gifted it while we were at CCW. So you owe me a Constitution.
The next time I see you, thank you for spreading the wealth because I'm the source of pocket Constitutions. So I can bring you another one.
Yeah, I love that. So, Corinne, really, today I want to talk about, and this is going to sound like another show about AI and how things are changing in contact centers and support and all of that. But you are really doing this thing at Smartsheet, and you lead operations and quality at Smartsheet. And you are undergoing this massive transformation. And I really think it's important for people in the space to understand what's really happening on the ground, because there are a lot of talking heads saying, oh, this is happening and that's happening. So first, just lay the groundwork for us. How long have you been at Smartsheet? Like, what did support look like when you started there? And then we'll talk about kind of future state.
I've been at Smartsheet for, it seems crazy, but almost 8.5 years. I've always been on the technical support team. What it started, 8.5 years ago, it was less than 20 people. We have 200 agents now. So we've really grown. Back when I started, it was kind of a very low volume. You get what you get. You're a generalist. You don't know what's coming in on the phone. We didn't have an IVR. We used to, back then, leave voicemails. So if when I started on the team, if people didn't want to take a call, they didn't take a call, and then we would call them back. And so that was unusual. So we started that way, and then we've grown as the product has grown. And Smartsheet is a pretty complicated product. So that we'll call that support 1.0. A couple of years ago, we moved from that 1.0 generalist model to a specialized model aligned with our product pillars. And we call that support 2.0. And then 3.0 is what we're leaning into. I don't mean to overuse that word, but it's really true, because as things are coming at us fast and furious, agentic AI, basic chatbots, we realize that the future needs to look different, and it needs to look different pretty fast.
Yeah. I'm curious, just before we start to talk about the mechanics of this, but like, how has the team felt about this? In some ways, it feels like this onslaught of AI, because we hear, those of us in the business hear about it all the time. But I'm curious, like within your team, both the leadership team and, the people that are actually supporting your customers, do you have a sense about how they are feeling about AI and what that means for them?
I think we've moved pretty fast, right? We've had the benefit of having a very future-looking, future-forward leader over the past few years, and he kind of subscribes to this burning platform theory. So go get it, right? Don't hold back and think about it. Like, I hear customers when I go to conferences, or I talk to other customers, like, how do you get started? Well, we just went ahead and got started. So I feel like we're kind of out there in terms of, so to answer your actual question, though, leadership is excited, constantly excited, and looking for the next thing. Like, how do we take what we've already built and make it better? How do we refine that? How do we use for example, our bots use the IQBs and help center articles that are customer facing. Well, we have all of that human knowledge that it can learn from. So we partnered with our partner, who I'm not sure if we want to say names, but partnered with our partner.
Hey, full disclosure, Smartsheet works with Level AI. I work at Level AI. Corinne is one of my clients. I mean, we are talking about some things that we work together on, and that's absolutely okay. But I think it's important to understand, like, the real world. Like, how does this really happen? So continue. Like, it's cool. People can know. It's fine.
I think they might already know if they've seen either of us around on LinkedIn or anywhere. But yeah, so we have a great partner in Level AI, and they were able to, because they have all of our human conversations, build out what we call an atlas, so that our voice agent is actually moving beyond just knowing what is in the help content. She can navigate through human resolved conversations and take those conversations with customers a little bit further. So even if she can't solve everything, she can still better position the customer with the human agent where that customer is going to end up, with a little bit more ammunition, a little bit more troubleshooting that's already been done, and deliver it neatly with a summary. Human agent can read it. So we think of them more as partners than either or kind of thing. In terms of our agents, to answer the first part of your question, they're embracing it. I don't see that fear of being replaced at this point in time. We've been working with bots for a while now, so we haven't had to or had any desire to cut any heads or lose headcount in any way. So part of what we could talk about is how do we make those humans better when we get there? When it's gone things have changed from where they were basic triagers to now a lot of that work's being taken away, and rightfully so. So by the time we get a customer gets to a human, we want that human to deliver like the best possible experience from a value add perspective, a reduced effort perspective. And part of that is taking all that information that has already been discussed with either just the chatbot or our voice agent and not having the customer repeat it all again. So that's been a little bit of a learning curve too. Like, you have the summary, read it. Let's go from how can I help you? We already know how we can help you. So let's go ahead and say, let me just take a minute and review what you just discussed. And then we can take next steps, that sort of thing. So kind of changing behaviors that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part that I really want to dig into is structurally, how do we move, as you described, from 2.0 to 3.0? And I've talked about this on the show before in much more of an abstract, like, hey, the easy stuff, the triage, as you say, is going away, right? That piece is being automated. And so what does that mean from a skill set requirement for your agents that are supporting your customers? So let's just start there. Like, training. Has training changed? Is it longer? Do we go back into training? Like, how are you approaching that today?
So I think there's a couple of different pieces. So you have some people, we have some longtime technicians, let's say, who love doing web tickets. They don't necessarily love doing live interactions. And so you've got that body of people. And then sure, for this 3.0 agent, you can change your hiring profile, and we have. So we're looking for people with, not, I don't want to say not technical because that's not true, but we can train you on that, right? So yes, basic technical, maybe advanced, but looking for people who are curious, who are confident, who are empathetic in more ways than maybe we hired 4 or 5 or 10 years ago, because we're pushing, and it's changing customer behaviors too. We're pushing for more live interactions. We resolve more live. We know that. Some customers prefer to, use the web portal, so it's not really email. And some of our technicians prefer to, they'll knock it out of the park if they can do an email. All the boxes, empathy statements, all of it. But working on the soft skills, so working on enhancing our training to kind of emphasize those characteristics more, hiring for those soft skills. And, our actual core training hasn't changed. Product training, that's still there. How do you handle support cases? That's still there. How do you use our CRM as Salesforce? How do you navigate through Salesforce? How do you navigate through the IKB? All that's there. But one of the focuses, and we're working on it, so it's in progress, is coming up with those soft skills, those curiosity, and like how do you bring the current workforce up into those mindsets. So I would say training will change, and we're working on it with we have shared services trainers. We're working on building out new content that would challenge our agents to build those skill sets up. And then at the same time, we're hiring for an enhanced profile.
It almost sounds like in this age of AI that is now handling more of these lower level interactions, that it needs a more human interaction when we actually get to a human, right?
Right. It does. And, I think one of the biggest mistakes that companies might be making right now is like treating AI as a tool to make your current support org like faster, better. I think they use it to answer repetitive tickets or, really focus on, we call it deflection, containment, whatever you want to call it. But in reality, I think when you design your environment, I think there's some customers, some issues, some emotions that never even should go to AI, and just get those right to the better human. And just, that going in, because it's not going to solve all the problems. It's just, it can't. So I think that's the wrong focus.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you foresee your agents, in addition to this
new soft skill training. But from a product standpoint, is their knowledge need to be deeper? Does it need to be wider? Like, how do you approach kind of the product knowledge aspect of it? Or were they already there in general?
Well, no. So depending on, point in time. So we've had many changes over 8.5 years, right? When I started, everybody was product certified, but that was a 50 question test. So as our Smartsheet University team has evolved, they've evolved the certification to make it something that's more valuable with real credentials for our customers. A 50 question test isn't it, right? So it's actually a proctored, a long series of different parts of the product you can be certified on. And so what happened is we have people on our support team, and that's like the latest iteration, right? There was something else in the middle. So different people have different levels of certification. So one of the things that we're doing this year is taking our support team as a whole and going through the newest version of Smartsheet University certification. So we're doing that by site, and that's to ensure parity. Everybody is going to have the same level of certification. Everybody, you don't want customers saying, I know more than someone on your team because they've taken these advanced credentials, right? You don't want that. So we are 1/3 of the way through. The next third will happen in September, and the final third will happen in November. And then our team and our bots will be all Smartsheet certified, the same as our customers.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I think people forget, particularly when it comes to software, right? The speed of development with software is so fast these days that knowing all of the things that you need to know to support people it's a big challenge, right? In some cases, we develop faster than we ensure the people that support that software are able to understand all of the changes that are coming through because we're moving that fast. And when you get to have a large organization with literally hundreds of people supporting your customers, that scale then also becomes an additional challenge. You mentioned your learning team, your shared services. How have they coped with kind of this new initiative? I mean, are they freaking out on you? Are they loving it because they've got more to do? Like, what is that like?
So different pieces. The Smartsheet University team is loving it. Absolutely. They're more feedback, more users, it's great. And of course, learning professionals, as you know, love learning, right? Love to see people learning. So great. And then we have another team who helps us with, you mentioned the product changes so fast. Well, it does. And we're not constantly, every 4 or 5 weeks, we get product upskill training because something changed in the product. So they're great about it. They get it out. They get it out in front of the changes. So not just the support team, but that's my focus. So everybody, knows what's happening with the product before the customers know what's happening with the product before they need to call in about something. And that's something that the team does a great job at. And it hasn't always been that way. It hasn't always been this team. There, in fact, wasn't a team for a long time. So it's kind of like, back in the 20 agent support team, we were figuring it out like as we went. Like, what's going on? Oh, okay. It's that kind of thing. So I think we got a lot of support for it, especially around the certification. That's been exciting for everybody.
Yeah. I'm curious to this point. Have you found any landmines or missteps that you're like, gosh, I wish we hadn't have done that, or I wish we would have known or thought about this first as we embarked on this, that maybe someone else who might be considering a change like this could learn from?
Sure. Lots. But one in particular is when we launched our voice agent. So we did it fast and furious, and there were some concerns that customers would get upset and we would have escalations because they weren't used to that. Now they're used to having a chatbot, but we've never had a voice agent. And so we made it incredibly easy to get out of it. So that's fine, right? It was a proof of concept at the beginning. And so our customers soon learned that they didn't have to talk to, her name's Kate. They didn't have to talk to Kate at all. And so what that did is limited what Kate could handle. And so it took a lot longer for us to get all the data that we needed to make a decision, because she was, first of all, we gated her. So she only had a little bit of the volume. We didn't just open it up. And then from that little bit of the volume, then we had the subset of people who never talked to her, never give her a chance. So my advice would be to take the advice of whomever your partner is and maybe just make it a little bit more restrictive. You don't have to force them to stay, but maybe not just like if you whisper agent, you get out. Maybe just give her a chance.
It reminds me of what we do with new agents, right? So anybody who's been in the business knows that you bring out a new cohort into production. They have learned a lot, but we haven't actually applied necessarily all of these skills. They're uncomfortable. We might even say, look, we're going to maybe throttle the volume, or we're only going to give you a specific campaign or a set of skills so that you don't get these super complex interactions coming your way, right? We want to start you off easy. That is typically how we do things. And there's a good reason for that, because we want them to learn. We want them to practice. But one of the things that I learned a long time ago, and I would encourage people to never say, and you see this in retail establishments, you can see it in a contact center, but as soon as someone says, well, I'm new, the trust level in the customer just evaporates, right? I don't want to work with someone who's super green because I don't have the confidence that you're going to be able to solve my problem, or I'm worried that it's going to take forever or whatever. And so, like, I have literally witnessed an agent on the phone saying, well, this is my first week. And then they get immediately escalated. And it's almost the exact same behavior when you've got a virtual voice agent. If you allow someone to do that immediate escalation, what happens? Well, I don't get the experience of maybe making a mistake. I don't get the experience of this particular use case that you called in about. And so there's a limitation that we're putting artificially, just like if we asked an agent every time they answered the phone to say, by the way, this is my first day, bear with me. That would go over really poorly with a human agent.
That's a really good way to think about it. That resonates. And especially that you do, as a customer, lose trust immediately when you hear I'm new. It's like, can I have someone hold?
At that point, it's like, okay, is what I need really complicated or is it not? Maybe if it's not really complicated, I'll give you a shot. But, I think human nature is because we've also all had a bad experience with someone who didn't demonstrate confidence in what they were doing. And that's just one of those things that is baked into human nature. Like we want to have confidence that our issue is going to get resolved. And if there's any kind of reason that we see immediately in front of us, like this is going to be a problem, we are not happy about it. We want someone else. We want the expert.
Yes. And I'm guilty of that myself. I'm not the most patient person because I've been in this business so long. Like, definitely. And I would make that funny comment, like, can I have someone hold then?
I'm curious from a development standpoint with your human team, like what else has changed? What are you thinking about or anticipating might need change that hasn't changed yet? Or what else have you already addressed and said, we got to change the way we do this, besides hiring, besides training, et cetera?
I think instilling a lot of the team already has this, but instilling that curiosity measure, showing the customer like you can solve it. You're going to solve it. You want to solve it, even if you don't understand it immediately, right? It's not just, okay, I hear you. I'll open a ticket for you and someone will get back to you. It's like, I've got you right now. So tell me more. Tell me more about what's happening. Let's jump on a Zoom. Let's share a screen. I'm going to get this for you today while you're here. And sort of just kind of the ownership. I think that desire to add value. So we have a little program we call Plus One. Now, this is not a fifth program or anything like that. It's sort of a fledgling program, I would say. But there's no extra compensation if you do this. But looking for something while you're on the phone with the customer, or technically in a web ticket too. But, the live interactions tend to bring this up more. Looking for something that you can see that they can't see. So, hey, you came to me with XYZ problem. We fixed it, but did you know that we also have this? And if you had this feature enabled, it doesn't have to be something that customer has to pay for. But again, Smartsheet's pretty complicated. So it may just be something that they're not aware of. If you did it this way, then it wouldn't break because it's built to do that for you. Like recognizing there's something that you could bring. Not just the fallback, about our Pro Desk sessions, which is a paid offering that customers have. Not just saying, hey, you have Pro Desk. Did you know you have Pro Desk? You should use that. No. But maybe saying like Pro Desk could help you understand how to use that new feature I just talked about. If you're interested in more, that's already part of your plan. You should check it out.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Another one is reducing future effort. This happens quite a bit. So, because people build every user of Smartsheet, not every, but you can build things a million different ways, right? So call in because you built it this way and it broke because, you hit a limitation on a sheet limitation. We have so many cells you can have or so many formulas, something like that. And, if you fixed it, old school thinking is you fixed it, close ticket. New school thinking is we fixed it, Rob, but in 3 months, it's going to break because you have that automation that's filling up these cells. So how about we talk about ways that you can rebuild this that will work for you and not make you call back? Or, I see something's going to happen here in 3 months. Hey, Rob, something's going to happen here in 3 months and you're going to have to call back. We could do, whatever it is. We could take care of that today. I could transfer you to our finance team, whatever it is. And, reduce the need for them to unpleasantly find out and have to make another phone call, whether it's tomorrow or in 3 months. And just get that mindset going of, how can I be that extra human that you really want to talk to and you want to spend time with me.
Yeah, that anticipating future needs and being willing to spend a little extra time putting in some customer education. I imagine a lot of companies will say, Corinne, that sounds great, but it's going to cost me more because now you're asking these people to spend extra time with a customer. And, the old trope, right? The support center is a cost center. So, like, how do you work with the CFO to justify this extra effort that we're going to spend with a customer? I get it. Like, how do you convince the guys doing the number crunching that it's worth it to make that happen?
So I think you can balance that with the savings that you're getting from your AI, for example. So what? I mean, we're not fully deployed with our voice agent. So she's still gated, but I see different numbers. So I can't quote from my own experiences where I'm going with that, but I see numbers that say, greater than 60% of easy transactions can be resolved by an AI agent. Well, those were formerly known as support transactions handled by a human. So I think you make the business case that way. Like, we're saving all this here. And yeah, it's okay if Corinne spends an hour fixing this other problem, because it's going to more than balance out in terms of like human costs versus what we're saving. I mean, we're already seeing great containment in just our small gated sample. So when we open it up, fully anticipate great savings there. But again, to my first point or earlier point, I don't think you can't just expect the AI is going to fix everything because it can't. So I think that's another piece of advice is start thinking about what that really should look like. It's not just throw it in front of everything because some sentiment should be detected. Some enterprise customers, maybe you don't want to go through it all, just depends on the different business. But think about that as you do your strategy, like what's not going to be included in this. And then you can always walk it back if you decide that you want to. But I think I said somewhere, it's one of my favorites. It's not, and manage it too. You have to have people looking at it all the time. It's not like a crock pot. You can't just like put it in there and be like, fix it and forget it. Kate's going to solve the world's problems for us. We learned a lot. We had a dedicated team of a couple of, they were temporarily dedicated. Let's put it that way. They were reallocated. They looked at every single one of Kate's transactions and gave feedback to, in this case, it was Level AI, our partner. And we worked really hard partnering with them to make whatever changes we need to make. Some were on our side. Some were simple things that they were able to help us with as well. And know what you want to do. Know what is your success metric too going in. So we jumped right off the burning platform, but we didn't think about that we didn't have a way to measure CSAT for Kate.
Yeah.
Not good. So
Need to change
before
that.
yeah. And so we did. Well, Level did change it for us, but know that and think about it. And before you jump off the platform and make sure that you have something in place that is, going to matter and not delay you more in a decision.
Yeah. I'm wondering, has that deployment process been easier or harder than you expected it to be?
Easier.
Yeah.
It was easier.
And is that because it could do things that you didn't expect it to do? Is that just because of a good partnership? Is that because you just had a doomsday outlook on what that was going to look like? I mean, why do you say easier?
Well, because it seemed like when you go from nothing, well, you have a chatbot, but you go from an IVR and you don't have any experience with what she could do. And then you see and a good partnership, a great partnership. Very little ramp time was even required. We were able to just train her on the help center, get her up and going. Then we put our team on it to continuously monitor, like I said, every transaction. It's also helpful that because it's Level AI's voice agent, we have all the conversations in Level AI. So that's key as well. And that's where they were able to leverage the human conversations to train her more because they already have it all there. It's all there. So when she gets stuck on where a customer would get stuck, basically, they're not calling because they can't read a help article. They're calling because they got stuck. So, building out her atlas was huge, which Level AI did. I didn't do. Easier in the sense that it was very little ramp time. She was up and running. And then it was fun reading the conversations. And when people give a chance, now there's always a few negative, like I hate you, say that to a chatbot. I hate you. Okay, can I talk to a human? She's like, certainly. Let me get her for it.
It's easier to hate ones and zeros than it is to hate a person. So,
but then when customers give her a chance, they respond warmly as if she's a human, even though they know, and if she fully discloses who she is at the beginning. But once they, give her a chance, the comments are just amazing. It's like, thank you. You're so sweet. I appreciate your help today. And that's even in the cases where she's escalates to a human. Now, again, that's not 100%. Some people are unhappy or they just want out. And that's fair. I think that's always going to be that way. I think a future state for Kate, like I said, make it a little bit harder because our vision is that she'll replace our IVR entirely. So in order to map that back to our support model that we have currently, which is by pod or product pillar, we call them pods, you can't get out. you're going to have to give some information in order for us to get you to the right person. So that's another tip I would say too, for people considering starting, is think about what that looks like. What does this voice agent need to do for you? And, what's he or she going to need to gather to make that escalation to a human as seamless as possible with the most information as possible. And then make sure you train your humans to read what they get. Because that has been a little bit of a gap for us.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm thinking about conversations that I've been having for, at this point, a couple of years with people in the space. And one of the big fears about this automation has been, okay, but your agents are now going to get all of the really complex things. And is that going to create burnout? And I could see one of two different ways that this would go. It would be, yeah, now I don't get any easy things. And so my whole day is just like always dealing with the hard stuff. And that could be frustrating. Or it could be, now I don't need to do the boring stuff and I get to do interesting problem solving all day long as opposed to not doing the boring stuff. And maybe I become more engaged at work. I'm curious, have you seen one, the other, both? Not sure yet. I mean, how is...
Not 100% sure yet, but I haven't heard any mention of people like mourning the loss of password resets, things like that. I haven't heard any of that, because I think our team is very technical and they're very excited about solving problems. And it's just, I think they prefer to have something challenging to work on as opposed to in and out, same old, my report's blank. It's because you weren't shared to the source sheet. It's like the easy questions. We did something interesting. We just launched it. So we have an entire support team Slack channel, and it's called Fellowship of the Sheet. And so what we did, it's a long story, save it for another time. But anyway, it's called Fellowship of the Sheet. And we have such a big team and we're global, and we're not in person. Like sometimes some of us are, but the agents generally are not in person. So we launched an initiative. It was last month, and it's called Fellowship Bases. And it asks, like 5 basic questions. They're all the same. And then we just, it's totally optional. I send out a form in Smartsheet. They fill it out and then submit some photos. And then we just share those in our Slack channel. And one of them is called Day Saver. And every single one that I've seen so far, and we've had 16, not counting or anything, it's not my passion project or anything like that, has been about something complex that they were able to do for a customer to fix. Or, how they worked on a complex problem with a coworker to deliver a solution to a customer. And they're hard. I mean, way beyond my skill set for sure. I'm looking at them like, oh, yeah, okay. So I bring that up because number one, it is my passion project right now. And number two, because it answers your question. I think they crave more challenging work, and they're so technical that, given the freedom to work with customers, like without restrictions of handling time, I think they can make a real difference.
I think most people who get into support like solving problems. I mean, I truly believe that. And I think
I hope so.
The big thing though is like we want to be celebrated when we do something cool, but we don't always have the opportunity to like socialize that. And some people can feel a little weird about bragging on themselves, like unprompted. And so I love this is like no, this is a structure where I want you to brag about this cool thing that you did. And so it gives the open door for them to do that. Whereas I think in a lot of organizations, we don't necessarily know how to open that door. So that's really cool.
It's so fun to read about these individuals who, I used to train everyone, but those days have been gone for a while. So there was a time when I knew every single person on the team from training them. Now I don't, and it got so big. It's like I know names, and I know about them, but seeing the personal side has been incredible. And it's fun to see their family photos or whatever photos they want to share, and just getting to know, we call it getting to know the person behind the screen. It's been great so far.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me many years ago, it was kind of a post-COVID exercise that I did in my contact center. Very similar, right? I at one point knew almost every agent in our organization. And then, I got a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more removed from them. And then COVID happened, right? And so while we had already kind of migrated to a work from home structure before then all of a sudden we were all 100% work from home. And we actually did almost like a mini podcast interview that we would socialize once a month. So I would talk to 3 different individuals within the organization, mostly agents, but sometimes it might be a supervisor or someone, and have kind of a static subset of questions that we would ask. I actually had a form that they would fill out, and then we would just spend 5 minutes just kind of doing a one-on-one conversation. And it was exactly like what you're describing, like you putting a face to a person in your organization that kind of the things that they go through, but getting to know them a little bit more as a human is a great experience.
I love that idea, and am a best practice user. So can I steal that? I mean,
steal
best
away.
Practice.
Steal away. It's,
I think that it could be Fellowship Faces 2.0.
Yeah. We did it with teams. It was pretty small scale, right? It was voluntary, and people just, go sign up if you're interested. And then I would go through and select the people for that month and just kind of schedule, 10 to 15 minutes on their calendar to get them, off the phones. And we would do our quick little interview, and it was fun for me. And I think it was fun for them as well. And I know just within the organization, it's not just me who doesn't have a face, particularly when we're talking about people working all over the world and working remotely. You've got maybe a picture in Slack or something like that, but it's just wildly different when you get a chance to just talk with someone.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love seeing the reactions from the team too, because everybody emojis and comments, and it's great to see everybody celebrate everybody. And then the other piece that I think is important is I didn't limit it to just the specialists. We call our agents specialists. It's everybody. So
yeah,
I send you the thing. If you want to do it, you do it. If you don't, that's fine too. But, highlighting managers.
Yeah, absolutely.
They get overlooked quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the game too. So, and then even some business systems analysts. And they were like, me? I'm like, yes, you, of course.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love it. Well,
great.
I look forward to hearing about how successful that is. And I know the power of talking with people just like this, because here we are. You're on Next in Queue, and I've enjoyed so much chatting with you. I mean, we chat on a regular basis, but we rarely get the time to chat like this. So thank you so much, Corinne, for joining me.
Wait, is it over?
I mean, it's getting close. We don't have unlimited.
Checking.
I know you and I could sit here and talk for 2 or 3 more hours. We would just go off and talk about, I don't know, your daughter's birthday on the beach. By the way, how did that go? Daughter's birthday on the beach, success? Great success?
Very great success. I just dropped off the food and I made the arrangements, but I heard, and the pictures looked like it was a success. Thanks for asking about that. But Rob, thanks so much for having me. I had so much fun.
Well, I'm glad. Look, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, maybe they can learn about what it is beyond what we've talked about, what you're doing at Smartsheet. My assumption is LinkedIn is probably the best place for that. Is that true?
LinkedIn is perfect. And I would love to talk to anybody. So as you can see, we could talk all day long. Hit me up.
And I must say, It was great to see you at CCW. It was great to chat with you during we actually did a presentation there, and I got to sit next to you on stage and ask you lots of fun questions about fun, cool stuff that you're doing in a little bit different environment, but it was much shorter. And we're in front of a bunch of people in an audience. I imagine, so really quickly, did that feel appreciably different than this? Like being up on stage with a bunch of people staring at you?
Very much. Yes. I feel like, I mean, it was fun and it was fine, but I feel like this was more fun and more fine because it's just you and I talking, even though everyone's going to watch it later. But yeah, both good experiences. You always make it fun. So yeah, but a very different experience.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm maybe I need to have a new catchphrase. More fun, more fine. I love it. Thank you. This has been more fun. It's been more fine. And I can't wait for everyone else to check out this episode. Longtime listeners, go down into the show notes, connect with Corinne, tell her I said hi, and come back for another episode soon.
Thanks, Rob.
Next in Queue is produced by me, Rob Dwyer. Theme music is courtesy of Big Red Horse. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with at least one person. Word of mouth is the best way for people to discover new content. And thanks for listening.